everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show. Today is November 22nd, and we're doing government and social news. So it's links.
Also, you guys might not be able to hear it, but today is officially, at least in terms of us being in this room, the first day of the Boiler Snake. He is risen.
We can hear it. I don't know that the mics are picking it up.
I don't know if we'll hear banging, but there is a continuous hissing as it's letting the cold air out.
He does prefer the hissing in here and the banging in the other room.
Yeah.
So...
This is also the week in America, if you're not from America, where everybody basically checks out because the last 2-3 days of the week, holiday.
Yeah. I thought it was next week. Like, my time is completely off now.
I don't think there's another Thursday, is there?
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was this one or next one.
Does it ever line up such that it is Thursday, but then Friday is the 1st of December?
Probably could, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the rule? It's the last Thursday? I don't know the Thanksgiving canon.
The lore, yeah.
Is Black Friday going to be Red Friday? Oh, we got to wait for the business
There's
section.
a story about that, yeah.
Well, let's start with some government news. And this one has been a long time coming. It's actually been talked about for a very long time. Then it was decided, but then we had to wait even longer. And now we have to, that's right, wait a little bit longer.
The Verge has nutrition labels for broadband internet are finally here, except they're not quite here. But there is a mock-up of what they will be like when they actually get here.
I find that this is maybe the worst way they could have mocked it up. It feels kind of like an info dump, and I can see the average consumer looking at this and being like, I don't know what this means.
This is good, though, because...
yeah, it's an improvement.
At least people that are, can walk and chew gum can at least do a little bit of comparison shopping, which right now is basically impossible.
Yeah.
We'll have another story later about how, AT&T just charges you whatever they want and get away with it.
Now, they did get some loopholes pushed through here. So some of the things that they wanted are not quite as bad as they were. For example, typical speeds. What is a typical speed? That's all they have to report. They don't have to tell you about like bundles and that kind of thing maybe affecting the price. So
there's supposed to be a link to those, though. You have to say if it's an introductory price, and then there's like a bundle pricing link that's like, hey,
right.
The big thing that I really like with this is, it's like the rural broadband and the special discount broadband. There's supposed to be a link on this label that takes you to just a simple list of all the available plans. So again, if you can walk and chew gum and you read that, it's like, hey, wait a minute, I qualify for this cheaper plan.
What about people who have dentures?
No. I mean, you could gum. Gum is fine.
They might be able to do this, but they can't do that. Anyway, yeah, but those links, what percentage of people looking at the fact sheet are going to click those links? One?
I think it's just, that's my thing. I think it feels a little bit too dense. It's good that the information's out there, but I think the average person's going to be overwhelmed by it.
But without density, how are you going to cover all the horrible things that
they're
ISPs
doing
try
to
hide?
you? Yeah.
I guess you're damned if you do and damned if you don't there.
I remember trying to sign my mom up for the discount thing because, fixed income, elderly retiree, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, we don't have that. And I was like, no, you really do. And they're like, no, we don't. And then they're like, let me put you on hold. And they came back like, you're right. We do have a plan like that's like the CSRs aren't even trained on it.
Well, there's another thing that's been coming for a long time, although it's not been announced quite as robustly, but we're finally here. Now, this is not something that's going to touch you necessarily, but oh, it's coming.
Banking giants and the New York Fed start a 12-week digital dollar pilot. What better time to do this than when cryptocurrency is at its least popular?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the economy is struggling terribly.
Right before holiday season and people don't have a lot of extra money.
Makes sense. This is the perfect time. Strike.
So you learn how to do it now, and let's say spring or summer 23, when everybody's, riding in the streets and starving, you can say, hey, we're going to give you another bailout. All you got to do is register your wallet. We're going to give it to you in CBDC. And then we're done.
What country was it that they did that and the people had no idea what's going on?
Was it El Salvador?
El Salvador did the Bitcoin thing. India did.
Oh yeah, India.
They tried to do the biometric cryptocurrency, and people were like, I don't know what this is.
They gave everybody like $8. And it's like, how do I get my $8?
Just give away all your rights.
Yeah, I kind of just like, keep your $8.
And your children's rights. We got a timed pop-up. Those are so insidious. And of course, the FTX saga continues. Not much has happened in the meantime. We've seen more about how bad it was, but what is going to happen when the wheels of government get rolling on this thing?
U.S. House Committee to hold a hearing on FTX collapse and the crypto fallout. Boy, the FTX collapse, we've got so many stories about that. Good Lord.
There's so many new acronyms to learn with all that as well.
Congress, the hearing from this is going to be amazing because every time I hear congressional hearing, I think about the show that was, Google. Remember the Google, Facebook? It's like, why does my iPhone know my location? It's like, I'm the CEO of Google.
Oh no. We got some good Zuckerberg memes out of that too.
Yeah, so.
And it's always fun to see when the government gets somebody who they really do not like in their crosshairs for something that's probably innocuous, probably not the biggest thing in the world, but they really go all the way to 11 when that happens.
The FBI and the Air Force have mysteriously raided the house of a guy who runs an Area 51 blog. This is like something out of an episode of The X-Files.
The speculation here, though, is that they don't really care about his alien conjecture, more that he's posting stuff about movements inside of the base.
Well, the search warrant, 40 pages of the search warrant is redacted, so he has no idea.
Yeah.
He's got to hire a lawyer with a security clearance. Those aren't cheap.
So he described how they smashed in the doors. This was a no-knock, destroy the house warrant. Ripped it apart, took every piece of electronics, left him with no phone and a broken door out in the middle of the desert with no way to contact anybody. His girlfriend was in his other house. He has two houses. Same thing happened there. They were both held outside in the cold with no shoes while they searched.
Oh, it would make running hard, I guess.
Would that really be a high risk? They know exactly who you are.
They might be worried if they let you go get shoes and socks that you might hide something or destroy something.
Also,
I
these
guess.
people were not under arrest, so
Yeah.
they were being detained for a search. They should have been able to leave, I think, if they wanted to. I mean, you probably don't want to in that situation.
I'm going to come back in like an hour, gonna go get some McDonald's and then,
Oh, what else can you do?
yeah.
It's like,
Well-
today feels like a McFlurry day.
But you also have to watch your house from looters because now it doesn't have a door.
I'm sure that's on purpose. Another set of looters, you mean, right? It's
Yeah.
they're probably looking for the source too, like the source of something, because it's like,
You're leaking
They're
state
looking-
secrets.
They're looking to intimidate.
yeah.
And when the FBI is not trampling on people's rights, they are sitting around wringing their hands over TikTok.
FBI is extremely concerned about China's influence through TikTok on U.S. users. Isn't the Amish extremely concerned about the modern world having an influence on Amish children?
I'm worried about the FBI's influence on
Area 51
everybody,
blogs.
U.S. users.
I mean, but TikTok probably is just spyware. Both things can be true.
And one of the big, this is tangentially related to tech, but you buy them all online now, right? And it's the bots that were probably ultimately responsible for this. So I felt like this was an important story to include, and it was a hot story this week.
Justice Department is said to investigate Ticketmaster's parent company. This is the botched pre-sale of Taylor Swift.
She
Yeah.
finally came out with a statement and was like, we're very disappointed, but she wouldn't quite say Ticketmaster, but she was definitely talking about Ticketmaster.
Yeah. There was another smaller musician that put their stuff on sale the same day, and it was a crap show for them too, because,
Ooh.
Oh, well.
yeah.
Yeah, but you can't, because Ticketmaster and Live Nation merged, which
Yeah.
created a juggernaut. They own all the venues and all the ticketing.
Yeah.
It's an obvious monopoly. That's what the government is looking into. But I mean, why would you even have to look into that?
Yeah.
Like, let's count the number of venues that you can use without Ticketmaster and Live Nation.
What are you going to do? Go somewhere else?
Well, it was funny to me in this article because I think it was both Republicans and Democrats were angry about it. And I was like, oh,
Both-
something to unite. They're both Swifties.
Taylor Swift brings us all together.
Yeah.
She would have it no other way. I wonder if she will, unleash the machinery and build her own Ticketmaster replacement.
No.
That sounds like something Jay-Z and Beyonce would do. I don't know that Taylor.
Poorly.
That wouldn't go well. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think she could do it?
Yeah, I think she could.
No.
She has the resources to hire the people to do
Yeah,
that, though.
yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, Jay-Z has those resources.
No.
But he did his own music thing for a while because he was trying to compete.
It was bad.
But it was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Wasn't she somehow part of that controversy too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know all the details. It's been a few years.
I'm sure the comments will fill us in.
Yeah.
Engagement challenge.
Do you guys remember when the government, when Log4j and everything was happening, and they're like, listen, if you don't update your software, we're going to come after you. We're going to force you to. And they made all these important like announcements. It's like, we're not going to tolerate non-updated software. Well, guess who didn't update VMware?
U.S. government. Iranian hackers breached federal agency using log4shell exploit in VMware. Why was this even exposed?
Embarrassing.
Yeah, very.
So they're now saying if you have VMware in the government and you have not updated it, just assume the Iranians are in there, because they most likely are. Try to do something about it. And like you mentioned earlier, cryptocurrency has been absolutely crippled. It is, I'm still profitable. That's what's important. But I'm less than 100% profitable anymore, which is a sad day. It's all breaking down. And of course, California, all the powers that be who very grudgingly came over to the crypto side are now leaping right back over that fence and pretending that they never stuck their toes over in the first place.
California AG issues a warning-ladened guidance document for public interested in buying crypto.
I didn't think this was the worst thing in the world. It's kind of just got a list of terms and like, hey, by the way, you can lose money at this.
If the truth is absolution, then yeah, how can you complain? I mean, he's right about everything he's saying in this thing.
I do have to say that as crazy and tumultuous, I guess, that things have been the last couple of years, it is genuinely impressive that the S&P 500, like the index fund, is doing as well as it is, which is not amazing, but
they've been cheating since 2008.
it does suggest, yeah, I mean, that's the logical conclusion, right? Is that
No, I mean, it's right out there in your face. They're monetizing debt. That's just how it's done these days.
that seems like that's going to explode.
Oh, have you not noticed?
That's a problem for future me. That's next quarter.
Are you not feeling the pressure of that explosion?
I mean, there's already, I mean, the explosion's happening in the crypto world, but it seems like the S&P 500 so far has avoided that. Although I can see, you know, like before something explodes in the cartoon, like the bolts pop out of it and steam comes out of the bolt hole. It seems like that.
But the steam you're feeling is raging inflation. It's happening. It's happening. Let's hope that they can put those bolts back. I don't know if they can this time. I would like them to, until I'm dead at least. And Google had a little bit of an issue with their location tracking. Specifically, they had a thing that was like turn off location tracking.
Do you not want to track location?
And guess what that didn't do?
Google agrees to a $392 million privacy settlement with 40 states.
Who were the 10 who didn't?
And they agreed.
I don't know.
That was free money, guys. Free
Yeah.
money. And they agreed to change the language to make it more obvious what's happened. This is the one. Remember, we reported on this, and the engineer, like that, the prosecution had the email from the engineer inside Google that said, "I'm an engineer, and I'm really confused by this wording. It didn't do what I thought it did because I went to look."
That's probably why they settled, huh?
Yeah.
So that money will go to you. No, I'm just kidding. You'll never see a penny of that. That will go to the state's coffers.
Yeah.
And they'll use it for your benefit? No.
Question mark?
You think the other 10 states will get on board next time? It's because it was free money for them.
Think they'll get another shot at that? And Dell also did some things in the old stock market that were, if not explicitly against the rules, certainly bending them to
Against the spirit.
it's very extreme angles.
Dell reaches a $1 billion settlement over disputed 2018 stock swap. This had to do with their acquisition of VMware. And don't forget, they just got rid of VMware to Broadcom.
So apparently the stockholders were like, hey, you traded off those stocks at a share value that was not advantageous to me. And you took on these other shares at a share value that wasn't advantageous to me. So you did not do your fiduciary duty by gobbling up competitors at.
Just in terms of a strictly dollar value, I think that the shareholders were harmed by more than $1 billion, but it is a bit of a moot point at this point with Broadcom taking over VMware. So $1 billion is probably still a net win for Google. I mean, for Dell.
Anybody who sold stock during that time, it's not a moot point.
No, I mean, it's still, if you look at it from that perspective, it's way more than $1 billion. Like if you just do the math, it's way more than $1 billion.
And a sad day.
This was a hot story this week.
Poor Crazy Eyes will, in fact, she will be a guest of the federal government for some time. I did not realize she's just in amongst all of her like post fraud. She's had a kid and is now preggo again. So she's going into prison with one in the oven.
Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes sentenced to more than 11 years in prison. She's going in April. I don't know if she'll still be pregnant in April.
That's a reduced sentence because I think initially everyone thought it was going to be closer to 15.
Yeah. Who's going to raise those babies?
I guess her husband or boyfriend, whatever. Maybe that's why her sentence was lower than what everyone anticipated it was going to be.
You think those were defensive babies?
Defensive.
I think the more interesting thing with this is she was only found guilty on 4 counts. Sonny Balwani was found guilty of 12 counts, so he's probably going away for a lot longer.
He's not. He's also not a pretty girl. We'll find out his sentence next month.
Level 1 prediction: it's probably going to be about 4 times that.
I think the max was 20.
I think she
Was
also
what they were talking about for her anyway.
she threw him under the bus as being the mastermind, right?
Yeah.
So
And he was found guilty on 12 counts.
tough
But,
time. Tough time for him. He was at the top. Now he will be at the bottom. Probably deserves it. Well, it seems like the narrative, both sides of the narrative at this point, which is important. Like you're always going to have 2 sides of the narrative. Both of them are now turning on Trump. I think he might be done. His time might be over. And,
Definitely doesn't have anything to do with a recent announcement about running for something.
and NPR is the first to jump on that dog pile.
The headline from NPR is Trump tweeted an image from a spy satellite and a declassified document shows.
This is 2018.
So this is actually, NPR is the source of the story as well as the write-up for the story, in that when this picture appeared on Twitter, NPR said, where did that come from? We would like to do a freedom of information request as to the details for this picture. But the picture was actually classified until just now in order to try to satisfy this freedom of information request. And so this is maybe some of the highest resolution and most sophisticated satellite imagery we can do, which the intelligence organization really didn't want to make known all over the world that we could see that good from space.
Yeah, people initially assumed it was drone footage, and it was like, no, that's a satellite picture.
The thing that drives me crazy about this story is, though, that because it's Trump, and Trump's defense here is like, I'm the president. I can declassify whatever I want. Like that's my prerogative to do that. I don't know that he had that in mind when he did it. I think it was probably just, doing whatever he felt like.
Look how cool this is.
Yeah.
Also, getting your intelligence agencies mad at you, not a good move,
No.
as shown in the past.
Yeah, but for the wrong reasons. It's because they're evil. And
Didn't we do stories after this story that said the intelligence agencies didn't want to share things because they didn't trust him not to just blab it?
I don't think they share things with anybody. And we found out after 9/11 they weren't sharing anything with each other. But the thing about it is, collectively, the news cycle is adopting the idea that this is bad. We should not have this information. Like they're literally arguing us at the press and the plebs should never see these things. We're not ready for them. And juxtapose that with Julian Assange.
I'm thinking more, they're thinking we don't want our enemies to know that we have these capabilities.
Well, there's some concern about that, but how would you take that out of the Assange stuff?
How would you share that with the public and not make the enemies aware of it also? Like that was one of the American ideals is, look, we'll have an open society and everything runs really well. And because people can be responsible adults, things get done. In reality, it's not that.
But also we went way to the other side. And
the darkness on this program. That's why you tune in. We love you too.
And the UK is desperately trying to economically do something. They're trying to make deals. They're trying to get it happening. It's not been good for them recently. They probably chose the wrong partner.
Chinese take over the UK's biggest chip plant blocked on national security grounds. China, don't feel bad. Same thing happened to NVIDIA with ARM.
Yeah, that was another one too, right?
Yeah.
There was a couple of, the UK has been very cagey.
Nothing personal, China. The U.S.
I kind of don't blame them necessarily for not wanting that.
But they forgot that SoftBank already owns it. It's not in the
Japanese.
country. Yeah. I guess Japan is a lot more trustworthy these days than China. And we learned last week that Z Library was gone. They took down the domain, but we didn't know everything about the investigation. Now we hear the rest of it.
2 Russian nationals have been charged with running the massive ebook piracy website. And there's a lot of details that have emerged from here. Good Lord.
Weren't they running it from Argentina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they literally like had just signed up for all those services, and they
Yeah.
found the accounts that were logged in, which is funny. And wow, it really is true that everything has to have a Discord server now.
I don't want to join everyone's Discord server.
I want to read about something, a new thing, and they're like, "Oh, just join the Discord." No, I don't want to.
It's so ephemeral. It's going to be lost.
Do you have an FAQ? Maybe a website? Nah, just join the Discord. It's horrible, but everybody's on the bandwagon.
Everyone is bullying the UK government and its own Discord server. I like the subheadline. Fix the cost of living crisis. No, but we will make a Discord server where everybody can say, good Lord, everything's expensive.
Now, you couldn't chat in the UK Discord server. They knew that would go bad. What you could do is react with emojis. And guess what? There's an alphabet of emojis. So you were able to spell things on the posts.
Apparently, there were also a lot of comments about egging King Charles.
The emojis went away and it got locked into like a read-only mode, and people were like, "Oh, this is horrible." But it turns out that was Discord just reacting to the insane inflow of madness
Users,
going
yeah.
in there. And it's back now. So if you want to go and
Makes sense.
say curse words at your leaders, you can.
If you want to go put egg emojis on their photos,
I don't think Prince Charles will be reading those.
maybe his staff.
And Italy has definitely chosen a winner and a loser here when it comes to big tech.
Italy rejects Google's appeal against the watchdog fine, but it accepts Apple's appeal. So Apple, they both appealed because it's like, wait, we're not monopolies. And the Italian court said to Google, yes, you are. Stop that. Just pay the fine. So I guess Apple's case was more compelling.
Or their lobbying. Their campaign distributions, perhaps. Italy has also made a rule about facial recognition. It resembles the rule that they have about guns, which is the government and the authorities can have them, and you can't.
Italy outlaws facial recognition tech, except to fight crime.
Which, that made me think, like, I was talking about the Lowe's camera that has the security thing that's clearly following your face. Would they count that as
Yeah.
fighting crime?
You have to register with them, though, and like give them access to it. So basically,
Nothing changed.
it's basically fascism. Government corporate alliance to crush you. Good luck with that. We've already got it here. It's terrible. Now, this one was in...
Spain.
No. Is
I
this
thought
the
it
one we
was
talked
Spain.
about last week?
No.
Well, last one was Italy, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay. I was confused about that, but I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a new one, and it is.
Police dismantle pirated TV streaming network with 500,000 users. This time in Spain.
Basically the same story, though.
Yeah. I'm sure it was coordinated by the rights holders.
Hell of a selection on these services, I gotta say.
It's really, you know, piracy, bad, blah, 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 whatever. But you look at the story and the police, like the big thing was, police seized 2,700 euros in cash and $180,000 of vehicles. And it's like, well, you know, if there were 10 people involved and they're driving 18,000 euro vehicles, this doesn't seem like a lot of money. This doesn't seem like people that are getting rich on this.
Yeah, but they are stealing. I mean, that's piracy, in my opinion. When the pirate flag becomes a problem is when you start reselling.
My impression of the Spanish economy, though, is that it's really on the struggle bus, except for in a couple of places. So piracy is going to be rampant regardless.
What about the U.S. economy?
Line must go up.
China is struggling these days to get chips. We are really beating them down in terms of what we're exporting, what we're allowing companies to sell them and stuff like that. But there is one way that they are China number one.
China tops U.S. to take research crown at global chip conference. This makes sense because we in America, let's just look at how on the struggle bus we are just getting a fab up and running in Wisconsin. It's so corrupt that we can't even turn it into a storage warehouse. How are we going to have people in higher education doing all sorts of fancy chip research? There's pockets of that, sure, but there's not, you know, tens of thousands of students and graduate students and professors working on this kind of stuff 24/7 with a fever.
Japan also had huge gains. So Team Asia really killing it on the research papers right now. Also in Japan, they have somewhat been insulated from this global inflation train, but it seems like that is coming to an end.
Japan's inflation hits a 40-year high as weak yen fans import costs. So yeah, that was my takeaway from this too, is that like domestically they've done okay, but they can't import stuff. And their economy a lot of their citizens really want to import a lot of stuff, and they can't at a reasonable price.
I mean, when you live on an island,
Yeah.
importing kind of critical. I would love to send them some of my inflation.
Yeah.
And India is taking a step that so many countries have already done.
USB-C will be mandatory for all smart devices sold in India. Makes sense.
Does make sense. It's weird when governments do things that make sense.
It's because they've had all they can stands and they can't stands no more.
But if you don't want to hear about governments doing things that make sense, how about the exact opposite of that?
El Salvador plans to buy more Bitcoin every day, despite losing millions already. Hey, how much lower can it go, right?
The government officials are all screaming, please stop. And he's like, I'm going to buy even more.
I like how cash this guy is on the
Yeah.
podium.
Just,
We don't need people wearing suits. It really is dumb. Although, if you think about like contrarian investing, right now would be the time to buy Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
assuming it's actually going to go up again.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to take a risk, right? Although he didn't, that's not really an argument for him because he bought Bitcoin all the way down.
Yeah.
Also, the people don't seem to, I mean, obviously they've lost money from it, but like you say, they haven't adopted it. Like the El Salvador.
No one's interested in it.
Just him.
Is this one of those things where somebody's in the casino and they think, oh, all I have to do is double my bet every time. And then when I finally get a winning hand, it'll make up for all of my losses. I mean, that works if you've got infinite money.
Except casinos have table limits to neuter that. They know about that. That doesn't work. And Australia, they have had a real tough time with crypto and ransomware and all kinds of stuff, causing them big economic problems. I think they're saying it's time to take a step.
Australia to consider banning ransomware payments. Yeah, makes sense. I don't know if this will really negatively impact things, though, because people will just find a way around it. And the State Department gets really angry if you pay ransomware groups in Iran. They will call you and complain.
We're going to send you a strongly worded letter.
Yeah, they're like, technically that's a federal crime. It's
But
like,
the thing about it is the step after the strongly worded letter is sitting you outside in the winter while they tear your house apart.
yeah.
And they can do that whenever they feel like
I
it.
just innocently paid the people that ransomed my data. What do you want from me? Anything that plugs into the wall, sir. Okay.
And any loose cash you got lying around, we'll love to take that from you.
2,700 euros and $118,000 in vehicles.
And, there's these days, a lot of talk about getting your tokens stolen. So many people losing their tokens, but that's a different kind of token. Crypto tokens, this is authentication tokens, but you have to watch out for those as well.
Microsoft says that hackers are using this concerning tactic to dodge multi-factor authentication. Token theft is on the rise. Okay.
So this is after you authenticate, somebody gets a hold of that token, current session is still good, they're in there.
This is supposed to be neutralized if your IP address or your network connection changes, but I guess the rules for this have been relaxed since a lot of users are mobile. And it's like 1 second you might have your workplace's source IP address, and the next moment you might be on your 5G provider or something. And so there's a little bit of leeway with that, but I would think that if you suddenly show up in another country, you could deal with that. It doesn't really help you if your machine's been Trojanized, but
Just another thing to worry about. Not much you can do about it. And ransomware, it turns out that, just like companies have been lazy about their security policies, ransomware operators are getting lazy about their encryption algorithms. They're not updating them.
researchers quietly cracked the Zeppelin ransomware keys. So if you were hit by the Zeppelin ransomware and you reported it to the FBI, they would call you back and sort of clandestinely help you connect with a commercial company that would recover the keys for you and help you get your stuff. So that was cool, but you were asked to keep quiet about it. This was going on 2 years ago. So that was awfully nice of the FBI. It does pay to report things to the FBI.
Do you think Did they ask for like a little finder's fee there
I'm sure that there was money exchanged hands. Yeah.
between the company and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah, let's start you in on the FBI affiliate program.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Ring camera network? Doing big things with that. macOS malware is something that I don't know anything about, but I know that it exists, and apparently there's one big hotbed of it.
Almost 50% of macOS malware only comes from one app. That app, the App Store. No, not really.
It's called Mac Keeper.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to actually prevent that kind of thing, and it doesn't. There's another graph in here, and it said like only 11% is crypto. That surprised me.
Mostly it's a Trojan. They just want to see what you're doing, which is, how it started on Windows. The nagware, adware. It's like we just want to
Just want to watch. Yeah.
But apparently this program itself also nearly impossible to uninstall. Does a lot of tracking on its own. So just stay away from that one maybe.
Yay, Mac OS.
And if you are a Netflix user, and Krista, I mean the holder of the account, the person who actually pays the bill, this is for those people, not the people who are just watching it on those accounts.
Netflix gives account holders the ability to kick freeloaders.
How? It shows you all the devices that are logged in, and you can kick people out.
There's a lot logged in to the other account.
Although I like
A lot.
I like the stories on Reddit that are like /r/am I the butthole, and there are stories on there of the non-account holder kicking off the account holder because they wanted to watch something on Netflix, and it was like, oh, your 4 streams are in use or whatever.
I mean, how does it differentiate when everybody has the same login?
Yeah, it doesn't.
You can't really.
Well, I've gotten the pop-up before that's like, hey, too many people are watching it, and I usually just go watch something else because
Yeah.
I don't want to kick someone off. But the recommended on Netflix is just an absolute freak show because there's so many different people using
You
it.
don't do the profiles?
We don't have enough.
Oh, is it? How many profiles do you get?
I think like 3.
Oh, wow. Maybe you could lump yourself into groups.
Yeah. Weird anime dramas.
That'd be great if there was, some kind of drama in the social circle because somebody jumps groups.
Oh yeah. Ruins the recommendations.
I thought you were into nature shows and cooking. What are you doing in anime? And online chats, they get a little rowdy.
Yeah.
People behave poorly when given that opportunity, like with the UK Discord, obviously. But there's always this constant desire to sanitize that. How do you do it? Well, only through a horrible dystopia.
Ubisoft and Riot Games are working together to combat toxic chats. How are they doing that? With an AI overlord, an algorithm that's filtering everything that you say so that you must adjust everything and speak in code.
There was a recent thing I read about where, people would tell you, kill yourself, but it would get flagged by these AIs as being like, no, you can't say that. So now the thing that I've seen online now is unalive yourself. And
Oh, man, I'm gonna use
eventually AI is going to pick that up, but it's going to take a while.
Do you think the Indian call center people will understand that if I say that to them?
I have to look it up.
We have a real communication barrier when I'm trying to insult them. But now they do say here, they're like, now we realize that in order to do this, we have to monitor everything and we have to store that data. So phase 1 is we're going to find a good way to do that.
Language just changes so fast. It's going to be a constant game of whack-a-mole, I think.
You shouldn't have said those words because we're going to get burned hard for that. But watching police interrogation videos and stuff like that, also, they always censor those words. Because even in that context, anything the algorithm sees that with the S word immediately gets demonetized. And robot cars are coming, although they're coming slowly because they don't work. However, what if we just cherry-picked little pieces of robotic cars and put them in all the cars?
Studies find that automatic braking can cut crashes over 40%. Basically, people aren't paying attention, and if your car brakes suddenly, then you look up and say, why is the car braking? Oh, because I need to pay attention. Sounds good.
Oh, because I was about to rear end someone.
There is a little bit of an issue here in terms of that means that the overlords can activate your brakes and lock them whenever they feel like, but I think we're kind of already there.
Yeah.
So
You have a newer car.
That should be something that doesn't require the cloud to run. So maybe you can find the 5G SIM and pop it out.
And Xbox, they have been working on their own version of this to try to figure out who is doing bad things without anybody reporting them. And it seems like, now we don't know what the false positive number here is, but they're getting big numbers.
Xbox Transparency Report reveals up to 4.78 million accounts were proactively suspended in just 6 months. Now, this does have year-over-year comparisons. And the really interesting thing is that the accounts in the same category last year was only 461K. So, is this algorithmic oppression, or was this just, a rampant? Because on the one hand, I'm thinking about this in terms of like the Microsoft App Store. Like if Microsoft really cracked down on all the garbage in the Microsoft App Store, the graph would look just like this. But if it's just algorithmic insanity, then there's a lot of false positives there. I don't know which it is. It could be both, I guess.
It's been a long time since I was on an Xbox game server and voice chat. But every time I've been on an Xbox game server and voice chat, I heard words that were very not allowed in today's narrative. So
Also, algorithmic oppression would be a great punk band name.
Seize the means of computation.
That would be a fun fake band to make.
all right.
That's
all
everything for
that
government
one.
news.
We will see you guys Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day we post. I
It's
forgot.
Wednesday.
Wednesday with business links and fun anecdotal stories.
They'll have a gap on Thanksgiving that they'll have to fill with something else, turkey, and then we'll be back Friday.
You could abstain on Wednesday and listen to that during the drive. That might be the pro move.
I doubt very seriously we'll be streaming Friday though.
No, probably not.
I might stream Friday.
Are you going to visit family?
Yeah, but I'll come back that same day. I don't stay overnight there. And I am seriously addicted to We Who Are About to Die. Seriously.
I'm seriously addicted to Cosmeteer, but I just haven't had any time to play it.
It's like I still have Cosmeteer and Zero Sievert, both fantastic games, but I can't go back to them because of this compulsion.
I went down a rabbit hole of using crystals and like the plasma energy thing, and you can combine the crystals in different ways, and it results in different energy multipliers. And so now I've got an arrangement with crystals where I've got like this weird batwing thing, and like it shoots and redirects the plasma crystals. And for the star system that I'm in, the energy beam hits the enemy ships and they just explode.
You take that to the next level, you put that on the back of the ship. So while you're running away from them, you're just peeing in their face with lasers. So satisfying. What a great game.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.